Wondering what the F has happened to your body and your life? You're in the right place, my friend. Welcome to Season 3 of Transforming 45, where we dive into the incredible stories of how brilliant humans are navigating the midlife squeeze with courage, passion, and a healthy dose of humor. Don't miss out on any of our heart-led episodes. Hit the subscribe button, leave a 5-star review, and if you're inspired, share an episode you love with a friend. It means more to me than I can express that you're choosing to spend time here and sharing our message of midlife revolution. So let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Transforming 45. Today, I am really excited about this conversation. For everyone who is listening, go get a piece of paper and a pen. Be ready to make some notes because there is going to be some really important information that we share with you today that will have a real impact on your quality of life and your long-term health span. And I cannot wait to get into it. So Dr. Barry Morguelan is a world-renowned medical doctor, alternative medicine expert, and energy healer with over 20 years of experience in blending Western and Eastern wellness practices. As one of the few masters trained in an ancient Chinese energy discipline, Dr. Barry has dedicated his life to helping people maximize their vitality and performance. His Energy for Success system has transformed the lives of high achievers, including top executives, athletes, and celebrities. Dr. Barry has been endorsed by Tony Robbins, Dave Asprey, and Ben Greenfield for his work in unlocking human potential and promoting lasting health and wellness. Dr. Barry, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here today.
Hi, I'm glad to be here with you. So we're going to have fun.
Yes, we are. All right, so we will start at the beginning. Dr. Barry, who are you and how did life introduce you to this version?
Ever since I was small, I wanted to be a doctor. And so I accomplished that by trying to just do the best I could in every university that I worked at. And then I wanted to discover a disease, and I also wanted to discover a treatment. And I got to go to, some really great institutions. And then while I was still doing academic work, I started private practice. And private practice took off and was just wonderful. And I was working at UCLA, and I was thrilled with what we were able to do at that time, because I originally was starting out in trauma surgery, where everybody comes into the emergency room and they've got either chest broken open, arms, legs, everything's. But I eventually wanted to move into something that would be more direct towards the patient themselves, and that they wouldn't be unconscious while I was working on them. And I went into gastroenterology, endoscopic surgery, where we have these scopes that we could go inside, do a surgery, major surgery, and the person can go home the next day with no complications. And I just got thrilled. And so they kept developing all this different types of equipment for endoscopes to go in through this way or through the abdomen or back, or one way or the other, and really get great results for people. And then what happened with anything that was a success, there was a lot of people that needed care. So I would work 7 days a week and just run from the emergency room to the intensive care unit to the floor, and then back to, over to my office. And then it was just a continuous run, and I was thrilled, except I was noticing that there was no end to sick people. And this is a long time ago. This is over 25 years ago. And I was going, this is not working out for me. I didn't go into medicine to have people continuously have to face illness. I wanted something to happen so that people could start to get well and stay well. And that wasn't the case. And I'll never forget, there was a Saturday I was making rounds at the hospital. And you need to know, when you make rounds on a Saturday, usually you try to save your best patient for last. And so it was 2:00 in the afternoon. The sun was shining in this lady's room. And so I was totally relaxed, which sometimes can be a mistake, but it's okay. I was totally relaxed, and I walked in going, my last case of the day, I'm just going to be able to sign off. Everything went, hi, Miss Rodriguez, everything went great. If you want to know anything, here's more notes on it, and I can show you, but you can go home and you can eat whatever you want, your big family. can take care of you. And instead of her smiling, since I knew her from before, and giving me this big hug, she puts her hand on the bed and goes like this, which when you're a doctor and you're used to standing all the time, that means you're going to sit down and you're going to listen to me. And you go, okay, something else I don't know about. But I knew that her vital signs were fine. I knew that everything else had gone great. So I said, okay. So I sat on the edge of her bed and I said, okay, so what's up? She said, coming to you was just fantastic. As soon as I saw you, you knew what was wrong. You scheduled me right away. We got the procedure. And, and I'm fine today. But do you know how long it took to come to see you? You know how many months, how many doctors, how many clinics, how many waiting rooms I went to, how many studies they did, and still they didn't know what was wrong. And it was very frustrating. Plus, it was painful. Plus, I missed a lot of work. And she said, this whole month before I ever got to see you was just an ordeal. Can you do anything about that? And so I looked at her and I said, I've been thinking the same thing. I would love it if people never got sick. I would love it if people could take care of themselves completely at home and not even need to see a physician. I would love it if you had within yourself the ability to have yourself get better and better every day, rather than most people, they're sort of introduced to life that says, well, you'll be born and you'll be younger. And then as you get older, your life will start to go like this. And then eventually it starts to go this way down. And I said, that's just a concept. That's not necessarily has to be true. And I knew that from all my studies in physics that I said, it could be life could go this way. You could actually get stronger over time. And I knew that around the world, before I was a medical doctor, I was an anthropologist. And I knew that in certain parts of the world, people did live a long time, and why they did. I was always interested in that. But I really commiserated with her. I took her hand and I said, I really wish that was possible. And then she surprised me again and said, she takes my hand and goes like this and goes, Dr. Berry, if anybody can do it, you can do it. Go find it. And so I had that moment where, after already having all my degrees and already being head of department in 2 different hospitals and teaching other doctors, I pretty much had gotten to the place you want to get to in medicine where you can make your biggest contribution. And here I was going to start from scratch again to go find something that no one's found yet, because there's nothing in the medical books about. I think the only thing we had in Los Angeles at that time that had anything to do with, we didn't even have espresso coffee. We had Winchell's Donuts. That's a couple of vitamin shops. So that's how healthy it was back then. Not
Yeah.
very. So you couldn't do much for yourself. And so I took her words as being, my moment in life and I'm sure everyone out there is going to have that experience in life sometime where you go, this is what I really can do for my contribution to myself and the people I care about. I said, okay, I will go on a search for that. And I did. And I scheduled myself for like almost every 2 or 3 months to go someplace in the world I was fortunate in that I was already teaching endoscopic surgery, because we were way ahead at UCLA. And as far as the rest of the world, there wasn't that many people in the world who were doing endoscopic sphincterotomy, removing stones from the inside and opening up the pancreas. Because at that time, the equipment wasn't as perfect as it is now. It took time to develop all of it. And so I was sort of a pioneer in that. So I got to lecture in different parts of the world on that topic. And when I would go to different places, I would always ask them, hey, what do you got that has to do with, there wasn't even the word alternative medicine, and the word integrative medicine. A for M, I think, was just getting started that time. So it's like, I said, what do you have that isn't, traditional surgery or traditional medicine that is useful, that you all are finding value in here in your medical care? And everybody said, you want things that you're teaching us. What do you want to, we have nothing to show you. You want to learn about something my grandmother used? Like when I was in England, they were talking about Bach remedies, which I know you know about, the drops. And when I was in France, Paris, teaching there, they had aromatherapy, and I brought home all these aerators and all these different aroma things in my suitcase and had them going in my office and had them going everywhere, just checking out to see if it would have any benefit that people could start using that. And then in Germany, they had like the Rife machines, which they still have a more advanced version, which sort of shakes you like this and is supposed to do something for you. But all the things that I found in every country, whether it was in Central America, South America, and I didn't go to all these places at once. It was like almost every few months I would go and then come back and take care of my practice in Los Angeles, which you need to know the doctors in the building, they were just about zero positive about this whole thing. They were going, where are you going? I mean, you already are chief of the department. You're lucky, we're going to steal your practice while you're gone because you're crazy. What are you going to look for the fountain of youth? If it was found already, it would be in the books and you're going to be the one guy to find it. It's
Yeah.
impossible. You're wasting your time. So I got a lot of flack from everybody.
I want to jump in there for a second because as I'm listening to you tell your story, this is exactly what I'm curious about is that, especially at the time, this was a very different approach. What do you think? And when you mentioned your anthropology degree, that made me wonder, was it your grounding in anthropology that made you curious or open to the idea that there are more than just one way of approaching healthcare?
Yeah, it was my feeling in anthropology that you and I and the people everywhere else were the same. We're all the same. So that once I got through that wait, we're all the same, and yet medical care is definitely not the same, and the results are not the same. Then if we find something, everybody's going to benefit, even the people in small islands off of in Asia, or whether it is someone in Canada. That we're all, once you get past the exterior, the inside's the same. So, and the mechanisms are the same. And so then I got this key that was going, it could work if we could find the thing that would really work for some people. It probably would work for all people because of the uniform nature that we all are, where heart, lung, liver, all that stuff is so similar that gave me some encouragement, even though every place I went, people were going, you're teaching us and we don't have anything to offer you. You want things that we're not using now. Alternative medicine wasn't popular. Do you remember probably when you were starting out, even the word acupuncture was considered like whoa, this is a big deal. A little needle's going to go into you or acupressure. And I remember when we had to pass that in the hospital, people had to give all kinds of explanations about what's going to happen and is that really correct? And yet when I was learning acupuncture in China, which I eventually got to spend a bunch of time there after about 6.5 years of going around the world every 3 months, I went about 130,000 miles over 6.5 years to so many different countries. And really, I was willing to try anything, anything. I was even a shaman for a while. In South America, it didn't look like this at all. I mean, it has long hair and the sort of the garb that you wore as a shaman because, the whole purpose was to be able to show how you could use energy to be able to accomplish certain feats. And then there was so much woo-woo around it. I said, I could never bring this back to UCLA. It's just not going to work. And the same thing in South America when there was what's popular now is microdosing and macrodosing, and we had every kind of dosing. Down there, you just pull it off a tree or right out of the ground. It's just growing right there, and then huge fumes of smoke would come up. Yes, you would have some kind of experience, but whether it was going to resolve anything in your body, not really. You may have this wonderful ethereal experience for a day or two, but then the next day, or 2 days later, you're back to the same person. Maybe even worse because you've been let down that you spent all this money to come to Ecuador or to Lima or to any of the places. And then, you're now what? You have a story. And then the other thing was, I know now that we have microdosing and people take small pills. They don't light and smoke it so much, but there's no way I could bring that back to UCLA because of all the smoke detectors. They would just blow those things off. And then to get it through IRB for people to try these things. Now people are experimenting with them, but you're not hearing any stories about, and rightly so, that they're able to fix anything inside themselves. And my whole goal was I wanted you and Mrs. Rodriguez to be able to take care of yourself and your family so you would never have to go to the hospital at all. It's actually you get stronger and healthier each day. No one had that as an offering until it was about the sixth and a half, seventh year. I finally ended up in China. And the reason I waited to go to China so long was that this was very near the time post Mao Zedong. And so it was really not modern China like today. They were still all wearing uniform outfits, the same, riding bicycles or rickshaws, very few cars. And the hospital I worked in was a very old hospital, very, very good hospital, excellent docs there. And I learned about acupuncture, learned about herbology. Matter of fact, the pharmacy that I worked in the bottom of the hospital, I'm sure they filmed that for the Harry Potter movies because that's what it looked like. They had all these little tiny drawers, and you'd go inside, and what's inside could be spider webs or a swallow's saliva on one side of a mountain during a certain time of year. And all these herbs we'd boil early in the morning, and then we'd serve them to the patients. But they work to some extent. And now we're finding that herbology does have a lot of benefits for people. But then again, it was all for people that already had something wrong. And I was looking for somebody who could get you information on how you could keep yourself well and not have things wrong, but actually feel more vibrant, healthier, and more with life as time goes on, rather than this downcline. So one day as I'm walking through the halls there at the hospital, I saw this book of this national treasure, their grand master, who is treating somebody, but he's not touching them. He's just using energy coming out of his fingers to treat somebody's wound, and it's showing in different pictures. And I ran to the chief of the department. I said, "This is what I've been looking for for years now. I want to know about this energy stuff. Well, how's this work?" He said, "Forget about it. It's not. You're never going to meet the guy." He says he's guarded by the government. He's kept away from everybody, and plus it's super expensive, and anybody wants to see him. And plus, you're American, and Americans are not that well. No one's that well accepted in China except pure Chinese people right now. Oh, I said, well, I still want to do that. So I kept doing great stuff for them and had some great results with a number of people from the government. And so finally they wanted to pay me for the good work that I'd done there. It's called giving you the red envelope, if anybody knows about that in China. And I said, no, I don't want it. I don't want money. I said, I want to go meet that man at the top of the mountain at that monastery. And even they looked at me like, very difficult, doc, even though you've done a good job. It's not, he doesn't even want to see people because he's only interested in this far, far, far out discipline, which I later found out is a direct descendant from Lao Tzu. And Lao Tzu, is the one who invented the yin yang symbol, the black and white symbol, and who was one of the originators of quantum physics. And so he's a real special guy. And why should you get to see him, even though you've done good? So, but I kept persisting and kept doing as good a work as I could for them while I was in hospital. They finally arranged it for me to go meet him. But going to meet him wasn't like there was a big limo that picked me up and drove me up the mountain. No, I sat on the back of a guy's friend of a friend's motorcycle that was going halfway up the mountain. And then I had to walk the rest of the way. And my only introduction was my little letter from the government saying, please accept him and show him for as long as you feel comfortable. They didn't even guarantee me I could be able to stay for a couple of days or a week. But as it turned out, once I got to the camp and saw the things he was doing, I was so fascinated that he and I hit it off. And so he let me, over the next couple of years, go back and forth, and watch him treat people with just energy, and then teach them how to use the energy techniques. And then they would go home and they'd be able to not only get well, but when I would see them in follow-up, sometimes a month later or 2 months later or even a week later, they were better than you could imagine. They were like looking younger than the rest of the people in their family. And that was amazing me. And then I asked the Grand Master about that one time. He said, yeah, well, the original name for this discipline is called Get Younger Energy. You actually are meant to actually be more vibrant, be healthier. So some of these stories, I know people, they laugh at them about old stories about people way up in their 90s and whatever, apocryphal literature, having children and all that. It might be true. Watch out. So you can enough that you can get a lot of your hormonal axis and your body axis to really support you if you weren't constantly under this pressure that we all have in Europe, the United States, Russia, all these places I visit to, where there's constant pressure that life is supposed to go down, 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 down. And then eventually you just, I don't know, just try to not be around other people because you're embarrassed that you're still not young and vibrant. And it's a sad result rather than you being better and better every day. Well, eventually he said, I'll train you, which was my dream come true. He said, but you need to know something. If we train you, you'll be the only non-Chinese person who's ever been trained in this, the only medical doctor, the only English-speaking individual. And also, we've never trained anybody who made it all the way to what you want to do, which is make it to master, which is to be able to do all these things that I guess you've seen in like Jet Li, when he does all the karate stuff. He actually was up at the camp, believe it or not, during one time that I was up there. All these fantastic moves that people wonder about. Is that really possible? Is it really true? Is levitation really possible? Is telekinesis possible? Is psychic surgery possible? Are all those things really part of what we get as our advantage as human beings? And the truth is, there's so much more that your body can do for you than you even realize, that it'll amaze you how strong and healthy you can continue to be no matter what year you think you are, whatever age is on the piece of paper that someone says that's your birthday. Really, beauty and health comes from the inside. And once you learn how to turn on all these sensors, which is what he showed me how to do, but it took years, because not like the American system where you get a book or binders or all this information that's written down. He says, the only way you can learn this is the way that I learned it. He said, as the way my grandmaster who taught me and the one who taught him and the one who taught him going all the way back to Lao Tzu, is you have to do it by challenges. So you're going to be challenged. And with each challenge, if you pass, then I can teach you the next thing. If you don't pass, that's the end. That's as far as we're going to take you. And so I said, oh, that's okay. He says, well, hold on here. That's not the end. He said, some of the challenges are very dangerous. And I said, okay. He says, we have no malpractice here, no lawyers, no fences. If anything happens to you, that's it. You're on your own. So are you willing to do that? I want you to send a note back to your people back there that, you may not come back the same way you left. And it's true that while I was there was a number of people who did want to be trained, and they ended up with severe injuries, and one guy actually died. I had a couple injuries, but one of the things I was just thinking of yesterday when someone was asking me, they said, what was it like when they had you climb these mountains, like the one you see with that movie with Will Smith in there where he was teaching Kung Fu to the little boy, and they're way up. It was a movie recently. Yeah, that was one of the mountains I had to climb it. And the point is, not specifically that mountain, but other mountains, there was no trail at all. And so I was just told, you're going to climb this. You're going to start at 4 a.m. and be there by noon at the top. And then there's going to be a ceremony if you make it. And I didn't have any ropes on me. There was no Sherpa. There was no belay or, so that I could be swinging. I was pretty much free climbing mountains, but that was before free climbing became a big thing. This was just like, you're going to do it. And I can tell you many times I was stuck on the side of the mountain and I had to go, what am I going to do now? And then I would remember some of the energy techniques that he taught me up until that time about how to have your body not weigh anything, how to have your body be light and flexible, like you see in the Olympics where they do the flips and things. And so then I was all of a sudden able to catapult myself up to the next ledge and then keep going. So I discovered a lot of things in the challenges that he put me through. And eventually I passed. And he says, okay, you can go back to the Western world and you can teach them all the things that he said they're willing to learn. And he wasn't too positive. He said, you think everybody wants to be able to take care of themselves. He said, that's not really the case. Most people want someone to take care of them instead. And I said, I know that's not what I think is going to help the world. He says, that's correct. That's what most of Lao Tzu's writings about, is about how you individually can figure out which way the world's going. And he didn't write that many books. There's books that have been written about him, the Tao Te Ching and all those things that are written about things that he said. But the only thing that he actually dictated is a very, very small book. It's about this wide. And if you ever get a copy of one of those, you'll see that he dictated it as he was leaving town and just said, "I've taught enough." And the reason you know it's an authentic one is because it has on the cover, it has a donkey's back end, not the front of a donkey, and has his back on there because it's showing he did this on his way out of town. This isn't a book like, hey, I'm here and my next book is going to be this and this. He goes, no, this is all I'm going to tell you about everything. And you're going to get all this right now. And then I'm leaving you to then make sense of it. I just think it's been thousands of years now. We're still trying to make sense of quantum physics, which he was one of the originators of. Mm-hmm. How wonderful it's been. Everything that he said has come true in one way or another. And I used all the things that I learned there in my own office as soon as I got back to the USA. And then as I would travel again, everywhere I would go in the world, I would test it out on every kind of age group, whether it was little kids or people in the 80s and 90s. My mother didn't even start using exercises till she was early 80s. And so you might say, well, why did she start using it when she was 81 or 82? And I said, Mom, I've learned these techniques and my patients are really getting great benefit. And you really should try it. I think you'd get benefit. She goes, well, look how old I am. Why should I try now? I'm probably going to die someday. And I said, Mom, I'm probably going to die someday anyway. So why don't you try this and see what you can do? Because it does extend life and you will feel better. And she used the techniques all the way up until she was almost 100 when she got admitted to the emergency room. I think she was 99. And the doctor calls me and says, hey, your mother's here. And she fell. And I said, yeah, I heard. She looks like she fractured her hip, but she says she's not in pain. She doesn't want any x-rays and she wants to go home. And she's reading a book right now while she's here. She was always reading, even though she was 19. And so I said, well, okay, do you want me to talk to her? And he says, well, to tell you the truth, I don't know what we're going to do because another thing we found out, she's not registered in the national registry system. She's never used her Medicare card. She's on no meds. She has never had a procedure. So is that due to all this stuff you brought back from China? And I said, yeah, that's what it is. What do you think? He said, this is amazing. He says, can I come over and see you after I get finished with her? I have a neck problem. I said, yeah, come on over. He did. The thing is, it works no matter what age group you're in. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. It doesn't matter if you're a little child, whether you're a mother, a father, grandfather. The way God, Mother Nature, the universe has created us is that when you cut your hand at night, say at nighttime, a paper cut, when you wake up the next day, you expect that cut to be somewhat healed, right? Your body is already set up to heal you. And right now, while we're talking, everybody should look at their hand and notice, if you just look at your hand right now, that's not just sitting there. There's blood vessels going all the way up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. There's a whole system of transfer of electrolytes and oxygen and so many things that are going on for you. So the world, actually, this body was set up for you, and you're continuing to get healthy and well was also set up for you. And you just needed to know, one, not to listen to all those people that say that, you need to struggle and life has to be suffering, that you need to have an entire kitchen that's been refilled that doesn't have any food in it anymore. It just has supplements, which some people show me when I go to their house. And I go, do you still take these? They go, well, I'm afraid to throw them away. Maybe someday I'll need them. The point is that what if you could do these practices, which I have for your people to use, and you even got to try some of them, 20 minutes a day, and you actually can feel better and see that just like that cut in your finger on your hand, when you wake up the next morning, it's pretty much healed. You're with these practices that we're going to put in the show notes, a link that people can start using it right away and get an experience of getting themselves healthier, happier, stronger. And what's so important, what Lao Tzu really wanted people to recognize is that your body doesn't get well just by okay, I'm going to fix this one thing. You're really made up of 8 different areas. And if you can work on all 8 of those areas all the time, you're actually going to get healthier each day, more clear, more intelligent, more able to calculate and figure things out. And all of these things we've tested with people. And your immune system becomes stronger so that you're able to ward off all these quote unquote scary new diseases that are discovered every year for some reason. And it's almost like new movies. It's a new disease that everyone has to freak out about. Just the process of freaking out reduces your immune system.
Yes.
So what if you could do practices so that you're able to walk out, in the streets of Chicago and have the wind come down in the winter and you're not cold? And I've had people call me in their 70s and 80s and say, I've lived here and I just heard the story recently. So I'm telling you, and they said, I've always been cold. I live here. I'm not cold anymore. So does that mean my thyroid's better? I said, well, go check with your doctor. But definitely all the parts of your body has not only these wonderful blood vessels and muscles and nerves that are working for you, but you have all these energy sensors, and that's what Lao-Tzu discovered. And these practices, you just do them every day for 20 minutes, and we've got them set up for you, that what's embedded in the practice is the vibration that allows those sensors to keep getting bigger and bigger so you could pull in more energy. And as you pull in more energy in each area for your intelligence, for your being able to relate to other people better, for your own self-esteem, for your confidence, for your creativity, all those things still are waiting to bubble up in you. All you need to do is to make a direction by the 20 minutes a day of doing these practices. So I've been thrilled with the results, and I've been able to collect results all over the world for the past 20 years. And everybody who sends me cards and notes is just, having a whole different life now that they can accomplish what they want, and they don't have to listen to that voice that we have to hear on maybe the news or on the internet that says, be afraid of this, worry about that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for highlighting that. I mean, there's so many threads in that story that my brain is trying to pull them all out at the same time. So we're gonna have to focus on a couple, but it is that fear, and the constant fear of not knowing and of not being able to control everything that happens around us. And for my audience and people that I'm working with are perimenopausal and menopausal women. And so many things that you were talking about made me think, right, this is why I position menopause as being a really powerful time in your life. Because for many of us, we've ignored our bodies, ignored the miracle that they are, ignored all of the messages that they are sending us. And it's at this time that our bodies are now demanding our attention. And so if we can pay attention to those symptoms that we are experiencing from our body and recognize them as messages, and knowing that this is not the beginning of the decline, it's just really time to pay attention to your body and listen to what it's telling you. And then with practices like yours, be able to regain our quality of life. And when you said earlier about, we have this construct in our worlds that we get older and we just start to decline. And it is possible to regain that strength. And the story about your mom is so powerful that you're never too old, right? Once we start really listening to the wisdom of our body and then having practices that we know work, we don't have to suffer. One of the most, I told you, I just recently lost my dad, and in one of the last appointments I was with him with one of his doctors, she said, you're 72 and you're only on 3 different medications. So you've done really well. Yeah. My reaction was that similar. Like, is that's the standard we're going with? Like, there must be a better way.
That's why it's the original name was, Get Younger Medicine, and that you actually can become more powerful. You could make a goal now if in one of the programs which we have for people that you wanted to be able to do pull-ups or push-ups, and you can do 0 now, but starting out in the program, if you did that within a month, you would be able to notice, I'm getting muscle strength, I'm getting flexibility. I'm actually moving around and sleeping better. And that's another thing we have for people to, both for the adults and for the children. Everybody has this thing about sleep. There's not getting enough sleep, or the quality of sleep isn't good enough. And now we have all this equipment that you can put on you to measure to find out, no, you didn't get good sleep last night. Do I really need to read that after I already woke up and feel like crap? I mean, I don't need that. I already know I don't feel good. That phone call went off twice in the middle of the night. The point is, you are meant to have a vibrant experience of your life. And that's the real birthright that I want people to regain again. And it's not going to be given to you by the medical system, because the medical system is pretty much left us out alone. You're in somebody's waiting room and you may get care, you may not, according to Miss Rodriguez. And then care you get may or may not be approved by the insurance. And then by the time you get it, it may not even be appropriate to what you really need. And so then you've got to wait even longer. So what I love about the energy for success is that you can pick what you want, whether you'd rather have yourself become, if you've got this good list, don't deny that you don't have it, of all the things that you really want to do in your life, but you just settled on doing certain things because that was what you thought was appropriate. Well, those qualities are still inside of you. Everybody still has a book inside of them. Everybody still has artistic talent inside of them. Everybody still has strength inside of them. It's just those sensors have been shrunken down to like this rather than being told to expand. And that's the great thing about what Lao Tzu discovered, which is that you have a choice at each moment about whether you want to do these practices and just have them help you enlarge them. And so you can pull in more energy, or you can have choice and say, no, I'm just supposed to be here for a little bit of time. And then who knows what happens, but it doesn't sound very good. And that's what we're told. And you can imagine, no wonder we have kids who are scared so much. I mean, that's what I was saying. Children have nightmares and night terrors, and adults have irregular sleep. And we have these audios that you can listen to, and the children, after the first couple times that they listen to it and they sleep the whole night through and they wake up the next day and they're ready to go, I hear it from moms all the time, because we have a mother-daughter and a mother-son program. They said, my child just says, okay, Mom, I'm going to put on Dr. B and go to bed. And so then they just press the button on their player and they just listen to the 20-minute story that I tell. And what I'm telling the story is embedding the vibrations that have to do with being fully relaxed, being completely where you're wanting to be in life, tomorrow to be a big victory, for you to have a future to look forward to, no matter what's happened today, and that bullies don't mean anything in the world, nor do failures. And so by the time the child goes out to sleep, when they wake up the next day, they're ready to take on the world. And so I've had kids of some of the most popular biohackers that everybody knows who call me all the time, and they want the next one that I've created and the next one I've created and the next one. And they have access to all these machines with wires and everything else, because their dads are these big biohackers that you can find out about that I've treated over the years. But this is natural. This is you. This is your own vibrations, because we're made up of vibrations. That's really what the whole thing is about. And when it gets down to what vibrational state it's in, is it in the state of like sunlight, or is it in the state of food, which is a type of vibration, or is it in the state of oxygen, which is a vibration? But so many things on this planet are here for us, and people don't realize that. The simple thing is like, if I said, Lisa, please show me where your lungs are, and you would point where. Yeah. And I would say, you're great, nice person, but you're only half right. You only have half your lung there. The other half's in all these trees out here. All these trees. All you do is make CO2. 8 minutes without oxygen, all of us are dead, and all of it comes from this green plant that's right next to me. And without having this whole world that, with your belief in God, Mother Nature, the universe, Christ, that all creator, the whole thing was set up for us so that there would be oxygen any place you go in the world. I just got back from Norway, and you can breathe in Norway with no problem. I've been to the North Pole. You can breathe in. There's oxygen dispersed throughout the entire planet made by these green things called leaves, trees, and things like that. And what I want people to realize is we as human beings belong to an ecosystem called planet Earth, and it's living with us. And I'm a vote for us to not have to pollute by trying to create something else that's going to be thrown away because they're going to get a different model in a year or 2 years, some piece of equipment, and rather just have these wonderful practices that you can do that your body's ready to do at any moment. And when people will check the link that's in the show notes below, they'll get a chance to try it free as an opportunity just to get to see that in just a few minutes, you can start to feel completely like you're pulling in the energy from as much as you need to be able to go do whatever you want to accomplish. I've had people that have won in the Olympics. I've had people that have won in tennis tournaments that are famous all over the planet, great musicians, people in government, presidents of countries. And I didn't advertise. They found out from other people that if you really want to get over this thing, go call Dr. B. And so now with the condition of medicine, there's no place for people to go, like Mr. Rodriguez was saying. And so if you go to the pharmacy or something, you may end up with the right medication, hopefully, but who knows if you're being your own, pharmacist then. Whereas these techniques that have been developed, you get to select, today I feel sad. So, okay, I want to change that. Boom. You do these practices for 5-10 minutes and your whole body becomes, all these sensors open up and you're able to say, I'm with it. I'm ready to go. And the best thing I can do for someone to get an experience of what it's like to use these practices we have, both video and audio and physical, because some people want to do physical one day. So I created those and embedded the vibrations in those. Some people want to do auditory. They just want to listen while they're in the car. So the vibrations are embedded in those. And some people want visual. So it doesn't matter how you want to receive the vibrations to open up your sensors. The system that Lao Tzu worked out works. So you just have to pick what you want to create. And I'm telling you, the biggest surprise that most people end up telling us is that, Doc, they told me that this system is supposed to be the fastest route to enlightenment. And I sort of didn't believe that. I just wanted to get well and I wanted to be on my own. And I said, yeah. And when I started out with your program, I had a lot of problems. Now I don't have a lot of problems. I have a lot of successes, which before, I had all these problems that I was stuck with for so long. Now I have all these new successes. So it's like I'm starting my life over again. So I don't know if anybody out there would like to have a second act. You like a movie or a play, you first act, all this stuff happens. And really what happens in the second act? Well, the hero and the heroine, they make it. It works. Your life is meant to work out. Give yourself this chance. Click that link that's in the show notes and start using the products. And we actually have people you can call and talk about your particular needs as far as wanting to get stronger, younger, more able. And we had a lady who started law school in her 70s. Okay. There's no limits on what you can do. And that inside. It's just you're not going to get a lot of agreement from most of the people in the world. But do you really want to go with those people anymore? Do you want to hang out with those people? They're sort of dragging you down.
Uh-huh.
Sort of like have you ever gone to the beach to get crabs?
Uh-huh.
Then you get a bucket like this.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't put a top on it. And the reason I put a top on it is because as soon as one crab works its way halfway up the side of the bucket, another crab below grabs his foot and pulls him down. And that's pretty much our culture in telling you that you've got a chance to make it on your own abilities and your own strength that God gave you in your body. And I think we should let that culture's already proven to cause a lot of people being aggressive, acrimonious, upset, irritable, which then adds to high blood pressure, strokes, and everything else. All that can be erased if you get happier each day. And I get reports every single day of people being more excited about their life than they ever thought they could be. Many people tell me I feel better now at 75 than I felt at 60.
Yeah.
And when you start noticing that, you're going to tell your friends, you're going to tell your neighbors. And I guess I could close on one thing. We had a lady who told me a funny story. She's a professor at Oxford in England. Okay. And she said, Doc, I had to get a new passport. In London, the building you go into is really a very, very old building, and it still has a thing that comes down like this between you and the person who hands you the paperwork. So you really don't even get to see them. It's not glass. It's sort of a wooden thing that comes down. And so she handed underneath the slot there her photographs and her old passport and the paper filled out. And so then the person behind there, the man, he says, "This is no good. Take it back and get me pictures that are current." And she says, "They are current. I just got them done down the block." He says, "You look younger in these pictures than you did 10 years ago. I don't believe you unless you got a lot of plastic surgery. Did you get plastic surgery?" She said, "No." Says, "I did Dr. B's Energy for Success." He pulls up this wooden thing like this. Says, "Let me see you." He looks at her. He says, "Who is this guy? Is he ever in London?" Uh, was he gave her her thing. She showed him, "No, I haven't had plastic surgery. It's the real me." Because beauty comes from the inside. And when you're feeling like you can do it in life, you've got the ability, you've got the chances that you think along the way you had to let go of because you just sort of got super focused in one thing, maybe taking care of family, particular occupation. There's so much more that's inside of you that you can start to bring out and be thrilled about that
Uh-huh.
comes out so that you're going to look and feel better than you ever have. And what thrills me is I get notes every day about people sending me pictures or stories that their family tells them that other people are actually shocked that you could look that good. And they go up to them and they go, "Can I look behind your ear?" And they grab your, "Can I look at your hair?" And so are you real? Are you sure? Because actually, I don't know if you've ever played golf or tennis or do you ever play any of those sports or baseball or softball?
Hand-eye coordination is not my strength, but I have played golf and pickleball.
Okay. Did you ever get a good shot?
Maybe once or twice.
Okay. Perfect example. So when you got the one good shot, almost everybody, even people that are in the pros, the people that I work with that are athletes, when they hit the home run or they get the perfect shot, it's almost like you're not there. It's like a zero noise system. It's like the world isn't the same. You don't hear the crowd. You don't hear anything. You almost have to look up to see that it was a perfect shot. And that was inside of you all the time. What if you could access that all the time, every time for whatever sport you're playing? And that's how when I'm teaching golf or I'm teaching tennis, saying on all your great shots, they're still all in there. It's just that you get distracted by what I call the matrix, which is all the misinformation that we hear every day, which is the gloom and doom, which will take you down the wrong route. So what's better for us is that it's not like positive thinking necessarily. It's that you're now going to have results where you're going to say, "Yes, I can do it." I have the same experience with little kids. Some parents sometimes bring their kids to the office and say, "I want you to teach Cindy to be able to ride her bike. She won't ride a two-wheeler." And so I said, "Okay." So I got in the parking lot and I hold the back of the seat and the girl doesn't want to do it at all. She says, "I already skinned my knee. I've already fallen 10 times. I don't want to do this. I'm only doing it because mother said that you were going to show me and I wasn't going to get hurt. So are you going to let go of the seat?" And I go, "I'll never let go. Don't worry. God is not going to let go. God is here for you." So back of the seat. And so then the person, they start riding. And what you're doing while you're riding a two-wheeler is you're doing exactly what you're supposed to always be doing is you're looking for the sensors that have to do with balance. And all of a sudden it clicks in. You can feel it. And then she goes, "I got it. I feel it. I can do it. You can let go." She tells me to let go. I said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." And then all of a sudden she's riding a two-wheeler. I didn't put that in there. Any of the programs that anybody does with us, it already is in your body and ready to be developed. So you're ready to go. All you need to do is to spend the 20 minutes a day, every day, instead of being upset, worried, complaining, reading the news that isn't very positive, or trying to find something to eat that's healthy. There's so many things that are in our way taking care of ourselves is just a joke. So that's why I'm glad that your program's around and that people should know that it isn't positive thinking. It isn't hope. That's put you in the right direction, but you're going to feel positive by your results that now you've discovered the sensor in your body that goes with balance. So for people, no matter what age they're in, one of the biggest problems is falls. And so balance and being able to reconnect all that easily is going to surprise almost everybody out there that they can actually do things that they didn't think was possible. I don't know if they want to start tight ropes, but they certainly won't have any problem with stairs and going places or ice and things like that that bother people. That's one of the biggest medical things we have is falls. So the future is much brighter, was set up to be brighter. And you have that evidence that throughout this entire talk, your heart was not even making a sound, but going beep, 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 beep. You have so many things that are pointing direction. This world was set up for you to have it work. And I just, thank God every day that after, 130,000 miles and 20 years in China, I was actually able to find this and then bring it back. Now people, because of the economic situation, they're ready for it or else nobody's going to help them. So there's a perfect time for you to take on your own medical and financial and cultural and relationship goals and go out there and have the life you've always wanted. Make me very happy.
Yeah. And that's a really joyful and gentle approach, which feels really nice. And I can speak to you, graciously shared with me and my system, because of the myriad of midlife changes I'm experiencing currently, has been in cortisol overdrive for months. And so that's been impacting my sleep cycle. And putting that on and listening when I woke up in the night, it brought my nervous system right back down. And I was able to sleep through the night, which had a huge impact on my day-to-day, feeling like I had much more energy. So thank you for all of the work that you did, for being a pioneer and courageous, because I'm sure bringing all of that information back hasn't been easy to implement in Western medical places, in hospitals.
And I think somebody sent me a text on what the name is of what's supposed to be in the notes. Did they send it to you? It's energyforsuccess.com/transforming45.
Okay, perfect. So for my audience, make sure you check out the show notes, take a look at that link, give yourself the opportunity to try to. It might feel different, it might feel unfamiliar, but that unfamiliar can feel like healing. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. And I'm looking forward to hearing the results when people try this new way.
I am too. And I'm excited that we're going into holiday season and that people are going to have a whole lot to share about, that people are going to go, you look better today than the last time. I said, what happened? How do you feel? And you go, I'm just getting started, out of my way. I'm ready. So thanks for having me on. And I wish you and all the people the best future. And if they have questions, there's a number that they can call. If that link for some reason doesn't immediately take them to that free item or any of the other items that they wanted to get.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being part of the Transforming 45 community. Your support means the world to us. Stay tuned for more juicy episodes, and remember to keep showing up to your life with the love and magic you deserve. Until next time.